Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The US President Donald Trump says he'll postpone plans to start destroying Iranian energy plants by another 10 days, after claiming talks with Tehran were going very well.
The reason they want to make a deal is they have been just beat to shit.
His self-imposed deadline, which he has already delayed once, is now the 6th of April. Iran hasn't publicly reacted to Trump's decision, but Tehran earlier said it was waiting for Washington to respond to its conditions for a ceasefire.
We will see where things lead, and if we can convince Iran...
At a cabinet meeting, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff confirmed the US had sent Iran a 15-point peace plan. Trump said the US would be Iran's worst nightmare if it didn't agree to a peace deal. Meanwhile, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio was in France earlier for a G7 meeting where discussions on the Iran war took place. The meeting follows Donald Trump's repeated criticism of NATO countries, who include the G7's UK, France, Germany and Italy, over their refusal to join the conflict. Rapper turned politician Belarus Shah has been sworn in as Nepal's Prime Minister after a landslide victory in the country's first election since last year's youth-led protests. The 35-year-old's rise marks an important shift in Nepali politics. His promise of change resonated with an electorate that was angry at corruption, nepotism and elite rule. Before taking office on Friday, Shah, popularly known as Balin, released a song filled with optimism about Nepal's future. The song harks back to his roots in the underground rap scene, where he used music to call out corruption and other social problems in Nepal.
Our government is undertaking every practical measure.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has sought to reassure Australians that the country's fuel supply remains secure as prices soar, and following reports of panic buying and petrol stations running dry since the start of the Iran war. There have been reports of truck drivers and other motorists stranded, while businesses say rising costs are affecting their viability. The government says demand and distribution issues have caused shortages rather than supply, which it says remains at the same level as before the war began. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has gifted North Korean leader Kim Jong-un with a rifle as they signed a friendship treaty in Pyongyang. The two leaders, both key supporters of Russia's war in Ukraine, agreed to cooperate more closely and resist pressure from the West. Lukashenko joked to Kim that he bought him an automatic rifle just in case enemies appear. In turn, Kim gave Lukashenko a sword and a vase featuring a portrait of the Belarusian leader. The two leaders also agreed to cooperate in fields ranging from agriculture to information to public health. A search and rescue operation is underway in the Caribbean for two missing sailboats filled with humanitarian supplies traveling from Mexico to Cuba. Mexico has deployed Navy teams and military search aircraft to locate the Friendship and Tigger Moth, which were carrying at least 9 crew members, the Mexican Navy said. The vessels had been expected to arrive in Havana on Tuesday or Wednesday, but there has been no communication from them and no confirmation of their arrival.
And the invitation to the G7.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has downplayed reports that his invitation to the forthcoming G7 summit in France has been withdrawn, saying non-attendance by a country outside the bloc should surprise no one. Reports on Thursday claimed that the US had put pressure on France to rescind Ramaphosa's invitation to the summit scheduled for June. They claimed US President Donald Trump had threatened to boycott the summit if the South African leader attended. But a few hours later, Ramaphosa said that, according to his information, there had been no pressure from any country.
Looking back on your life, you go, wow, did we really do that?
And Paul McCartney has announced his first new album in 6 years, described as a collection of revealing glimpses into never-before-shared memories. The Boys of Dungeon Lane was inspired by his childhood in post-war Liverpool and named after a road in Speck that leads to the Mersey shore where the young McCartney would spend afternoons birdwatching. Over a simple acoustic backing, he reminisces about smoky bars and cheap guitars, observing that while Liverpool is always changing, nothing can erase the days we left behind. Expanding on the lyrics, he adds, "It's just a lot of memories of Liverpool. We didn't have much at all, but it didn't matter, because all the people were great and you didn't notice you didn't have much." And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.